Hi guys, so Albert is asleep right now and I wanted to get on and do a controversial parenting tag. Literally at the moment, the only way I manage it, because Albert's a bit bigger and he's getting really fussy every time I kind of stop and not paying attention, or it's just getting harder to film. I've always got a list of videos that I want to film and I do manage to kind of get them out kind of in dribs and drabs, but it's really tough at the moment with him, you know, being a lot older than he was before. Got the time now, just while he's asleep, just to quickly blast out a controversial parenting tag, because loads of people have been doing this tag and I love this kind of stuff. It's just really easy. You can just like fire out the, you know, just answer the questions, and it's pretty straight, hopefully it'll be straightforward to edit. So I will get on and do that today. So the first question is pro-life or pro-choice. Now I am pro-choice. I think if you start putting rules in place, laws in place, that make it so that abortion is illegal, you open up a world of disaster. Basically, women should be able to have the choice. I think it's dangerous to not have the choice. There are circumstances in which, you know, it is needed. I just think that it should be something that women should be able to choose to do. Baby wearing, like, I don't know why this is controversial. Why would baby wearing become controversial? I have a lot of baby wearing tutorials. So for me, baby wearing is like, I'm obsessed with it. I don't know why it's controversial, because baby wearing is massively huge for baby brain development. I've recently done an Understanding Your Child course, and baby wearing is really good for baby brain development. And it's also just really good for other things. If you're breastfeeding, it's really good for your milk supply. It's really good for hip dysplasia if you're wearing a baby ergonomically. And when I say ergonomically, I mean knee to knee, not kind of anything that's making their legs dangle. If you kind of, those are great slings to get into the pathway of baby wearing, but they're not very kind of long-term ergonomic or very comfortable. So they're really good for, obviously, if babies have troublesome hips, and colic and reflux and loads of things. To me, there's baby wearing and then there's baby wearing, and I am the baby wearing kind of person. So there's baby wearing where you've kind of like, you've just got your sling, and you might wear it if you're going on a hike, or you might wear it if you're you know, out about in the shops or just around the house getting things done. And then there's baby wearing, and there's kind of a bit like me. I'm not so much like that now, where it's almost like a cult. I used to have a massive stash of wraps, and they were all different brands and very expensive. I know people, I'm not joking, that have never used a pram and have stashes that are worth in the thousands, very expensive stashes, because they're using them all the time. It's the only way they carry their babies. Yeah, so there is a bit of a, you know, because you can really collect them up. I have managed to condense my stash down now. So I have 3 wraps and 3 woven wraps. And I don't have a ring sling because I use my woven wrap as a ring sling sometimes. And I also have a toddler carrier, half buckle made tight, and I have a Tula. So for me, it's a huge part of our lives. Like, I love wearing them in different carries and stuff like that. If you are planning to baby wear, I might do another video on this. I've only just done small tutorials on the carriers that I have, but try and get an ergonomic carrier, so one that's knee to knee, such as an Ergo or a Tula, something like that, connector with kind of very thick padded straps or with wider straps. You'll find it'll be better on your back that way, or on your front even that way. You'll find it a lot more comfortable. You know, if that is the route that you're going to go down, just maybe go to a sling library, try out a bunch of slings, see what works for you. If you can, try and stay away from the high street carriers. Like I said, they're a great gateway into baby wearing, but I know Baby Bajorn are trying to kind of up their game a bit and make carriers that are knee to knee, but they still do sell the kind of crotch dangly, I hate calling them that, but that's kind of what they are, carriers that kind of hang down, and they're really painful on mums' backs. They have very minimal resale value, and they are not very good on babies' hips. They're not dreadful, but they're not very good. Also, a lot of people think that wearing your baby out is okay. It's actually really overstimulating. So they say no more than 15 minutes, and it's also not very good on their backs, because their backs arch slightly when they're when they're kind of there front ways, or they kind of hang down. So try and avoid, if you're wanting your baby to face the world, maybe think about putting them on your back. That turned into a mini tutorial. I think I need to do a whole nother video on that. Circumcision. Okay, this is not a thing in the UK. I think babies are circumcised if they have perhaps a medical condition, but I don't know any babies that are circumcised. I know in the US it's a huge thing. We just don't do it here. We have no need. I don't think anyone I know, or there's no history or stories or anything about any issues that have happened because a child has not been circumcised. So yeah, and not only that, I would never ever consider doing it. I would not touch my child down there, reasons of cleanliness, when actually it's perfectly fine as it is. Breast milk versus formula. This is a really, I hate this debate or whatever thing. Stir up a whole load of emotions and get people really riled up. But as you know, I started off breastfeeding Sebastian, and then from 4 months he was combination fed, and then from 6 months he was exclusively bottle fed. And Albert, however, 6 months exclusively breastfed, and we continued to do so until natural term weaning. Even though Sebastian was bottle fed, I will always believe that breast milk is the best option for a baby. There's no if, buts or maybes about that. I will always believe that it is. I've recently done a toe in the water breastfeeding peer support group course, because I'm hoping to become a breastfeeding peer supporter. But it does have natural antibodies. You don't need to wash. You don't need to sterilise your bottles or any of your equipment, because the breast milk itself will kill any bacteria that's in those bottles. Kill E. coli if you're sick. So Albert was recently sick, and you pump, it goes bright green, your milk, where you are literally making antibodies to fight that infection that they have. Breast milk is amazing. And if you can give your baby that, then you really should, I think, if you can. If you tried and you can't, then that's fine too. You tried. Sebastian is an incredibly healthy baby. He's a healthy kid. He hardly is ever sick. But I did the best for me. With Sebastian, I did what was right for me at the time. Whether breast is best or formula is best, I believe what is best is what's best for mum. That's what I believe. If mum's going to be happier bottle feeding, then mum should bottle feed. If mum is going to be happier breastfeeding, then mum should breastfeed. It's one of those things. It's really what is best for mum. Sebastian had a tongue tie. It was snipped. We fed fine in the end. There was no issues with my supply. Everything was fine, but I had a condition called DEMA, which is depression. I had really severe depression. Every time I had a letdown, I had to stop feeding him. I was becoming a monster. It really massively affected me. With Albert, I had no issues at all in that sense. If anything, I had the happy feelings that you get. I also get more sleep because I'm breastfeeding. I also get more, I've got more time, so I don't have to be doing bottles and stuff like that. However, Albert has been a lot sicker this time. You could argue it's because he's got an older brother who brings back every single germ under the sun. Sebastian never had that, but he has been sicker. So, there are also many circumstances where mothers have to bottle feed if they've had any operations, if they've had a mastectomy, if they've adopted a child. There's so many different reasons why, and ultimately they will also go on probably to have very healthy, happy babies. I don't know why it's really a debate. I think it really is what's best for mum. But like I said, I will always believe that the biological norm, that breast milk itself is always the better option if you can give it. Cry it out method versus other. Okay, I don't believe in cry out. Again, I've never believed in cry out, but I recently did an Understanding Your Child course, and cry out is extremely damaging on the brain. If that's something you've done, then I fully respect that, because not sleeping is the hardest thing ever, but it can really cause a raised cortisol level in babies' brains, and what happens when they stop crying in the night is because they know there's no point. Their bodies automatically switch off to, I can't be bothered, there's no point, no one's going to come for me, so I'm just going to lie here. And they build internal fear. I never knew that, and I found that really quite shocking. It's kind of a bit like if you were in bed and you were really upset, something happened that day, or you were really upset for whatever reason, and you were crying, and your husband turned to you and said, you need to, I'm not going to give you a cuddle now, you need to learn to, sleep on your own, I'm tired, I need to get my sleep. sleep so you can just cry on your own. You just wouldn't do it. So why would you let your baby do it? Why would you let your tiny child who has no understanding of the big wide world, why would you do that? I just don't understand. I really don't understand. Spanking. Oh, this is really controversial. I always said I was never going to be a spanky mum. And whilst I've never spanked Sebastian, there's been times when I've been so, just want to... Ugh. I try to adopt a gentle parenting approach now. It's not something I believe in. Certainly, all it does is reinforce that behaviour is okay to do. It's okay to spank, and it's not. So, but I can completely understand why people get driven to that point. I really can. Co-sleeping. Okay, I'm massively pro co-sleeping. Co-sleeping is something that we have always done, not so much for Sebastian because he was bottle fed. So if you're bottle feeding your baby, it's not recommended to co-sleep with them as much as it is with breastfeeding. It is the biological norm. The two kind of go hand in hand, and your body responds to your baby, so like it kind of keeps you, it seems silly to say, it keeps you in a semi-conscious state, but you do get so much more rest by co-sleeping and feeding, but you're always aware that your baby's there, but you do get more sleep, even though it sounds like you probably wouldn't. With Sebastian, I only brought him into the bed kind of when he was kind of teething and crying, and he would just snuggle up, but he was much older then. He was about sort of 8-9 months. So and we did carry that on until he just slept all the way through on his own. And I am a big believer that it's not gonna you're not gonna make a rod for your baby's back. If they need you, they need you. And Sebastian slept in our bed, and he sleeps fine on his own now, and that's where he tends to stay. With Albert, again, because I'm breastfeeding, I just, when he wakes up, before he's even properly woken up, as soon as he starts to stir, I bring him over and I feed him while I'm lying down. And then sometimes he just stays there, and then sometimes I might wake up and put him back in his bed. But I pretty much get a full night's sleep. If he isn't up crying or teething or something, I pretty much get a full night's sleep now. And it's wonderful. So I'm very pro co-sleeping, definitely. Charlotte, the magpie mama, said something about extended breastfeeding, and she said, you're never going to look back and say, oh, I breastfed them for too long. And you're never going to look back and say, oh, I slept with them in my bed for too long, I cuddled them for too long. You're never going to say that, are you? So it's not going to be forever. It's only for a short space of time. Homeschooling versus public versus private versus charter. I'm very pro homeschooling, but I wouldn't do it myself. I'm just not equipped to do it. And I really like my own space, and I think that Sebastian really thrives in an environment where there's other children, and I think I'm very much, it's just not for me. If we can private school him, we will. There is a grammar school in the locally, and I'd like him to take the 11 plus. I'm very anti-exams, like in younger children, but that's something I would like him to take to give him the opportunity to go to that grammar school. If not, he could just go to the normal comprehensive, and I'm fine with that as well. Vaccinations. I'm pro-vaccination. I do believe that it's very important to do your research, but I do believe it's important to vaccinate, unless of course your child has some issue where they can't be vaccinated. We had a slight issue where we thought that Chris, because he's immunocompromised, Albert may not be able to have some of his vaccinations, but it just meant that Chris couldn't change his nappies or anything like that when he had the rota vaccine. But other than that, we're very, very pro-vaccine. Medicating children. So presumably this is like children with ADHD. I don't know much about the situation. I guess if they need it, they need it. But if you can use other means to help them, then I would, if it's not essential. But I don't know enough about it. I'm going to skip that question. I don't know enough about that. Cloth versus disposable. Oh, why is this a debate as well? I don't know. Again, whatever works for you. As my channel started because I did cloth nappy tutorials, and I did a massive series on cloth nappies. That's how I started my YouTube channel. So obviously I'm very pro cloth. A lot of people think cloth is really difficult. It's not. It's actually really easy. It's actually easier than normal laundry. For us it is anyway. We don't have to do any stuffing or anything because we use pre-folds, which are kind of pre-folded nappies, kind of like the old style ones. So you chuck them all in the wash, and then it either put them all in the line or in the tumble dryer, take them all out, and you could just leave them in the basket and use them as and when. And I know so many people who do that. They have their basket and they just take them as and when they need them, rather than folding them up and putting them away. Unlike washing, that you need to sort into piles, you have darks and lights, or you have, you know, you have to fold them up and put them away or iron them. There's kind of a process afterwards. With cloth nappies, you don't have any of that. You put them in the wash, you dry them, and you take them out again, and you leave them and you use them. That's literally it. There's nothing else involved, absolutely nothing else involved. They are really, really simple and straightforward. You're not carrying poo around. Poo goes down the toilet in a liner, it goes down the toilet. You will not be carrying poo around. If there is the opportunity to use biodegradable disposable nappies, I would go with that. I mean, at the moment we have a busted washing machine, which finally we've ordered a new one. So we are using biodegradable where we can. There was a baby event at Aldi, so we have been using some non-biodegradable disposables. Yeah, we've definitely reached for disposables a bit more with Albert being in a rush, and it is again just whatever works. If you find disposable easier, use disposable. Motherhood is hard enough without all these extra kind of worries as to whether you're doing it right or wrong, or what's best, what's not. Store-bought baby food versus homemade. Okay, I don't like the jars. I think they look minging, and they do have loads of extra added yuck in them, but there's companies now like Ella's Kitchen and Piccolo, and I think there's another one, Asha or something. They do, and Mamia as well from Aldi, do organic, completely pure organic baby food. It's really, if you look at the back of it, you can easily do it at home, but it's so easy to just go in there, grab a few and take them out and about. Now we do baby-led weaning, and I will be doing a weaning video soon because we have just started weaning Albert. We pretty much do all baby-led weaning. So we just give him what we eat. That's pretty much what we do. I can't be dealing, if I am giving him a puree, which we do out and about, I can't be dealing with sitting at home pureeing and blending and cooking it. I just won't do it. I have a million other things to be doing. Like right now, if I was puree feeding, or cooking my own food, I could be, right now, I should be going and cooking my food and preparing it, but I'm not doing that, so I'd rather go to the shop and buy some shop bought stuff. That's it for this video. I hope I didn't ramble too much. It's kind of one of these are those things you can't just answer the questions, you kind of, you digress. But yeah, if you like this video, then please click like. If you want to do this video, please do it. I'm going to tag 2 people. I'm going to tag Oh Hello Face, and I'm also going to tag the attached mummy. So yeah, let me know what you think, and I'll see you guys soon. Bye.